And good afternoon, everyone. As soon as I take the graphic off the screen, I'll figure out how to do that here. Obviously, the first time using it. Welcome to the Greg Cherry Show, everybody. There it goes. There I am. There I am. What's up, everybody? Glad to have you here. And this is a simulcast across many different networks before we go exclusive to the Greg Cherry brand, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Glad everybody could join me here today. We got a lot going on as far as this episode goes. On today's show, we are going to talk about this week in wrestling. Obviously, Summerslam and TakeOver happened this past weekend. There was some interesting news on AEW Dynamite. We'll cover that as well. We will go over what's trending now, which is where I just search Twitter, and I will find what topics are trending right now. We'll briefly discuss them. We won't go into too much detail, just what's going on in the world right now. And special Cooking with Greg segment, which I had the chance to record, and hopefully you guys enjoy that segment. And of course, we have Monday question and answer session. So any question you'd like to know, it can pertain to wrestling, football, really anything, whatever you can come up with. We will be there and we will talk about that. So Big Baller G in the house. Hey, got the beard game going on. Nice. Yes. Thanks to the beard oil that I got from my wife. Appreciate that. All right. So first things first, let's talk about this week in wrestling. So obviously AEW Dynamite aired before SummerSlam and TakeOver this past weekend. And then it ran over a little bit. And the big news coming out of AEW Dynamite is that we have a new AEW TNT champion in Mr. Brody Lee. And in the fashion that he did it was incredible. I mean, Mr. Brody Lee basically squashed Cody to win the championship. And then the Dark Order just took care of the entire Nightmare family and left them laying. It's a good way to build the Dark Order. And I think he needed to win the championship in that way since he didn't defeat Moxley for the AEW World Championship. So it's very interesting to see that. And I think it's a good way to go. I think you need to get the championship off of Cody, and that was a good way to do it. Moving on to TakeOver. TakeOver was a great show, as TakeOvers typically are. And I never thought I would say this, but the match of the night was Adam Cole and Pat McAfee. If we're going to be completely honest, McAfee, I think, blew everybody's mind with how ridiculously athletic he is and just how well he took to the wrestling business. It's for somebody's first match in WWE, I mean, you would think he was a 5-10 year pro, at least, putting on a classic like that with Adam Cole. And it also is a testament to how damn good Adam Cole is. We have a new NXT champion in Karrion Kross, but we may not see. There seems to be some static with your mic. Well, hopefully not as the show goes along. There seems to be Karrion Kross is injured. He separated his shoulder. And I saw somewhere in there where his shoulder was about a half inch or so lower than where it should be. So I feel like we're going to get either a battle royal or some kind of tournament to determine a new NXT champion. And we'll see where we go from there. It looked like it was going to be Karrion Kross running roughshod over everybody, but if he's injured, he's not going to have that opportunity. And it sucks because it's almost like Finn Balor. He won the Universal Championship and was injured during the course of that match. And it's wrestling. We always say it's not ballet. Things happen like that. So we will see how they address that on NXT this Wednesday and moving forward, because Keith Lee is now a part of Monday Night Raw, as we saw last night during the SummerSlam show. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. And let's talk about SummerSlam while we're at it. SummerSlam was a pretty solid show, I would say. Unfortunately, I was not able to get into the Thunderdome. I had the link, but I don't know whether you need to get there on the exact time, or if you need to get there before those instructions were not very specific on how everything like that was set up, but I was not able to get into the show. Unfortunately, I would have loved to give you a report on how all that works, but it seems like there are quite a few people who um, had some interesting experiences with it. They were produced a little bit more as far as how to react, and it kind of came across like that. There was no like natural. Hey, we actually like this person. Instead, it was more produced to show what WWE wants to show, and that's pretty much what it is. It's the Thunderdome is just designed to give you the experience. It's kind of like slowly transitioning to the experience of having real fans back in arenas. And it's like I said before, I feel like it's going to be a situation where fans are going to be back, maybe not by the end of this year, but maybe early next year. Because it's like I said before on my live streams on the No DQ channel, the election's in November. I feel like a lot of this stuff will go away because it won't be as big of a deal, or it'll slowly dissipate. It's not going to disappear instantly, but they're going to be like, oh, well, we don't have this to hold over people's head for another couple of years or whatever, so blah, blah, blah. It, it's so stupid. But anyway, as far as the SummerSlam show goes, it was a good show. Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville was what it was. It's hard to put a ton of pressure on them considering what both of them went through last week, as far as Sonya Deville having a stalker in her house and moving towards her. And it was pretty crazy, that entire situation. I don't think that you could really put the pressure on them to have like a superb, like an excellent match or whatever. And they had a good match. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't anything. But I'm not gonna fault them for that. They've been through a lot, and I'm hoping that this angle for Sonya leaving WWE is just that, an angle to give her time to recover from that mentally and then move on forward. And it seemed like in a backstage interview she didn't want to be called Sonya anymore, so she might be using her real name going forward. I don't know. That it's just purely speculation at this point. So we'll see how that goes. Dominic Mysterio had his first match against Seth Rollins, and it was a good match. I thought it dragged a little bit. It went a little bit too long for his debut match, but the angle and everything, Seth Rollins and Murphy healing it up, I thought that was done very well. Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. I can't believe a WWE Championship match ended in a backslide, because I have ragged on the backslide finisher for years. It's like nobody gets beat by a backslide, and then Randy freaking Orton gets beat by a backslide in a title match at SummerSlam. Shows what I know, right? There are a couple people who says my mic is static. I'm not able to really tell that as far as let me check my audio here. This is what happens when you're on your first live show. Hopefully everything's okay. Let me all right. Hopefully that's not too bad. But anyway, going back into we got our first super chat, $2 super chat by the Cleaver Colin Andrew. I thought it drug on too. Cheers, Greg. Thank you, Colin, for that super chat. Appreciate it. You'll definitely get your messages read if you send those super chats, and you can send those to the Aaron Riff channel, because I don't have that ability right now. I do have 1,000 subscribers on my channel, on the Great Cherry Brand YouTube channel, but we're going to get that. Yes, I know, Mark. My mic is staticky, and I'm not sure how to fix that. And we're live, so kind of got to deal with it. Yeah, I was very surprised to see that Randy Orton lost to a backslide. and it protects both of them, and they'll probably have a match next week too. Which I don't know why they're having a pay-per-view so soon after SummerSlam, but maybe that's just me. I'm not sure. I do want to talk about the women's championship matches. Asuka versus Bayley was a good kickoff to that. I thought they were going to do the matches back to back. It was a little surprising for me to see them give Asuka like an hour or so to recover. It's probably a good thing she did, considering that powerbomb to the outside. That was insane during the Sasha match. Asuka versus Bayley was fine, and I'm biased. I know I am biased, but I thought the Sasha Asuka match was better, and I'm gonna stand by that. I'm gonna stand by that all the time. That Sasha is the greatest women's wrestler alive, and everybody will fault me for that. But I could send you a list of Sasha's matches to watch with completely different people, and you tell me whether or not you believe me after that. She's had classics with Asuka, with Bayley, with Charlotte, with Becky, with Alexa, with you name it. They've been there. So I had a feeling that Sasha was going to lose the championship. I figured there would be a little bit more shenanigans than there was, but Asuka winning the Raw Championship and putting a dent in the armor of the Golden Role Models needed to happen. So, and then we got the main event, which was Braun Strowman versus The Fiend in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to say that that Falls Count Anywhere match was probably one of the weakest Falls Count Anywhere matches I've ever seen. Some people were like, "Oh, it was a little slow." I was like, they went backstage. They barely went backstage once, and then the pinfall happened in the ring when they ripped up the mat. I mean, you might as well have just made that no disqualification match if you're going to have the pinfall be in the ring. If you're going to do Falls Count Anywhere, have the fall happen somewhere outside the ring. I understand why they did it because of the aftermath with Roman Reigns returning. But why build up this Falls Count Anywhere match? Although they didn't really build it up, they announced it like 2 days before the pay-per-view. It's like, oh, hey, it's Falls Count Anywhere now, and then they barely did any Falls Count Anywhere worthy stuff. It's like, come on, guys, don't put a stipulation on a match. Don't force a stipulation on a match if you don't need it. I didn't really care that they used that stipulation, but the Fiend won the title. Roman Reigns returned, and he was acting sort of heelish, which was refreshing. I was like, he was this badass who didn't care about anything or anybody, and I thought it was very well done. I thought his return was well done, and we'll see what they do on SmackDown this Friday. I'm just hoping that maybe there's a lot of speculation that Reigns is the leader of Retribution. Again, just purely speculation at this point. But I think that would be cool if Reigns was actually the leader of this group, and it would be a way to put the Universal Championship on him and have that support. You know what I mean? You would have that support around him to be like, oh, hey, he's this unstoppable champion, except he has his goons, like, which I don't know if we'll ever find out who is part of Retribution since they have like 76 members. But I think him being the leader would be a good thing. Whether or not that leads to anything, I don't know. But hopefully we get some answers on SmackDown. Retribution really wasn't part of the show at all. If you think about it, they were just mentioned a couple times, and Alexa Bliss wasn't involved in the main event at all. It's like, so you have her as part of the build-up, and then you don't have her actually walk down there during the match. It's like, does she not care about either one of them? Like, what is going on? All right, but that is This Week in Wrestling. And now we're going to go to a segment which will probably be controversial, just because I was looking at some of the trending topics going on Twitter right now, and we know we're going to get into some very very touchy subjects. I wasn't sure what to expect, but with the news that broke today, we're obviously going to cover it. Again, very briefly and hopefully not ignorantly. Um, we're going to cover what's trending now on Twitter. So I went on Twitter. I may have to fix my microphone really quick. I don't know if that helps at all. Let me know if it helps. Because I can't hear myself. Yeah, it's still crackly. I'll have to work on that for future episodes. I made it worse apparently. Um, Give me 1 second. Did you lose me? Am I back? Somebody let me know. Is that better? There we go. There we go. I'm back. I heard myself. So, all right. We're back. Hopefully that okay, cool. I know I'm probably out of sync. It depends on really where you're watching it. I just checked on the Facebook video and I'm heard there. So, anyway, we're going to talk about what's trending today. And one of the things that's the thing that's number one trending right now is Jacob Blake. For those that aren't aware, Jacob Blake was involved in a what appeared to be a police brutality thing. Um, he reached into his car for something, and police shot him in the back 7 times. I it's one of those things. I don't know what is. I don't understand why they don't have like tasers on them. If they're that terrified, it's like tase the person, and if they're that big of a threat, then why would you not try to subdue them instead of try and shoot and kill? Like there has to be a better way to do this. There has to be, right? You would think. You would think that there is a better way to do this. And like I'm not this is not a gun argument. This is really a human decency thing. And regardless of what the situation was, like if the police thought that they were that much in danger, why would you not want to why would you go straight for your gun? Why would you not go for your taser? Do you not have tasers on you? Because all this does is make all the good cops look like they're terrible people. And unfortunately, why are we not in a place, as far as a society goes, why are we not in a place where we can hold these specific people accountable, but instead we call for the heads of every single person? Like everybody's calling for the heads of every single policeman ever. It's like hold the specific people who caused this thing accountable. Leave everybody else who has no knowledge of it and is nowhere near this out of it. Those particular policemen should be relieved of their duties. But don't call to defund the police for everybody because you got a few cops who are too aggressive. Because there are people who get into the police, like being a policeman, that are bullies and that have always been bullies. And they're going to treat people like that because it's like, oh, we have the authority. We can do whatever we want. No, you're misunderstanding what a policeman should be. You're supposed to be there to serve and protect. You're not supposed to be the aggressor because then you are no better than the criminal or whoever you're attacking. Uh, it makes no sense to me. These people need to be better. And unfortunately, in situations like this, fortunately, Jacob Blake is still alive. He's in critical condition, but he's still alive at this moment. So we'll hope he pulls through, and prayers for his family that he makes it through this and can live to tell the tale. But it's they need a better vetting process for this. There needs to be like some sort of like mental test or something. And I know that there's no perfect system. There's never going to be a perfect system to keep the bad cops away from this job and like leave only the good ones, only the dedicated public servants, like as the only cops out there. There's no way to prevent that because bad people do bad things. And unfortunately, this is one of those situations where people like to blame the whole as opposed to the part that actually causes the problem. It's like, well, the entire system is flawed. No, that particular person is flawed. If you want to make complete systematic changes that affect even the good cops who follow the rules, I mean, what do? Laws have to be created all the time because there are a few bad apples in the orchard. And we have to create laws. Oh, we have to prevent this. Here's the thing. And people who aren't going to follow the current laws aren't going to follow new laws. They're not going to be like, oh, well, this is a law now, so that's perfectly fine. That's not how this works, people. Like, and especially policemen. Policemen, I feel like, should be held to the same standards as any other citizen because they're a citizen of the United States. They should be held. Like, if they shoot somebody and kill somebody, they should go through trials and all that stuff. It's like they can't have the protections as like, oh, hey, it's a cop, hey, it's self-defense, especially when there's video footage that proves otherwise. And besides, it's like if you can say one shot is self-defense, I'm not condoning that, but you could probably get away with saying one shot is self-defense. 7, you're trying to kill him. Like that's blatant. You don't shoot somebody 7 times and be like, oh, it was self-defense. I thought it was going to hurt me, but he's okay now. It's like, no, 7, you're trying to kill him. 3, you're probably trying to kill him. Like, think about it. You need to get the bad cops out of the system. That's what you need to do. But unfortunately, Ratnick says too many police departments require only a 2-year degree to become a cop. I didn't realize, and forgive me for being ignorant to the entire process of becoming a cop, but they should be going through more rigorous training because it is a very important job and is something that you cannot be aggressive with. If you're in that situation, there are better ways to handle it. If you're not good under pressure, you shouldn't be a cop. So there's that. All right. Let's look at some of the other trends going on right now. Monday motivation is a popular one. iPhone 12. Didn't the iPhone 11 just come out already? Are they seriously saying, or are they? Let me look at the top trends on this. I could have sworn they just came out with the iPhone 11 like 3 months ago, and you're telling me they're already like getting ready to release the iPhone 12? That's insane. Apple, give us a chance. Like, tell your developmental team to take some time off, take a vacation. I know there's nowhere you can go thanks to COVID, but take like a mental break, take a nap, something. Jeez, everybody's gonna go broke trying to keep up with the Joneses, which I don't recommend. Like, I still have an iPhone 10. Like, I'm perfectly happy with that. I don't need the iPhone 12. It's kind of ridiculous. All right, what else is trending? Uh, the AP Top 25 for college football, which is very weird because a lot of them aren't playing. Get out of here. AP Top 25. 9 of the 25 teams are from the Big Ten and Pac 12, which are not scheduled to play this season. Well, then how do you have a top 25? I mean, do they, are you going to kick them out due to like low, due to the fact that they're not playing? You can't really have an AP top 25 when you don't have all the colleges playing, which I think are still the SEC and the ACC. As far as I know, are the only two conferences. There might be more than that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the ACC and the SEC are definitely playing this season, which I'm fine with because Notre Dame joined the ACC, so that makes me very happy. I'm looking forward to that, and it's in a couple weeks that football returns. It's like, hey, if your teams are playing in spring, fine, but my team is playing in fall, and I don't have to adjust anything for that. My schedule will pretty much remain the same, and I will be watching college footballs on Saturdays and NFL on Sundays. So that makes me happy. There will be some sort of football this year, which I'm good with. But it is weird to me that, you know, you have over a quarter of your teams that are still to this day, in the top 25. And that's just from the Big Ten and the Pac 12. I haven't seen the entire top 25 list. Notre Dame's at 10. Jeez. Well, hopefully they can move up from that, especially since they'll be facing Clemson this year. But I'll definitely have more college football and football talk, um, just because I'll have some football analysts on. Um, really, just people who watch football, but I'll try and get more professional people on in later episodes. And let's see, one more thing. Why is Liberty University? Oh, okay, wonderful. Yeah, okay, not doing that one. What's Snowfall? Oh, it's a show. It's terrible when I don't know a whole lot about what's going on. Seinfeld is trending. And Jerry Seinfeld is defending that, people thinking that New York is dead, but he wrote an opinion column for the New York Times saying it's not, and that's going to be it's going to be coming back. You know, Seinfeld may be a comedian, but he's a pretty smart person. All right, so that is what's trending now. Hopefully, we'll have a little more exciting news to talk about. Um, more happy news, I guess, because talking about the Jacob Blake thing It's never a good thing when something like that happens. But now we're going to bring you the next segment on the show. And it's a segment I like to call Cooking with Greg. So, for those of you who know me, I am not the best cook or chef or anything like that. So, I wanted to foray into this territory, and I hope that you appreciate my ability uh, to make something for you. And while the segment is going, uh, our Monday question and answer session will be happening shortly after this segment. So get your questions in, and I will look to answer them at the end of this segment. So here we go. Cooking with Greg. Let's share the screen. And I hope you enjoy. Once we get it up here.
Welcome, everybody, to Cooking with Greg. This is the most exciting segment you will see on the Greg Cherry Show because you're going to take a journey with me as I learn how to cook. Now, I want to try something a little bit out of my comfort zone for the first time, and I want to hope that you guys at home learn. So get a paper or a pen or write some notes down on your phone because I am going to teach you today how to cook Pop-Tarts. Now, the first thing you want to do is get a box of Pop-Tarts. Oh, hey, it's a box of Pop-Tarts. First thing you want to do after you get the box of Pop-Tarts is open the box of Pop-Tarts. Why are they on? The first thing you want to do is take the Pop-Tarts out of the package, like so. The second thing you want to do is you want to find a toaster. Found a toaster. Cool. Next step, you want to plug it in the toaster. So, what you want to do is you want to put your Pop-Tarts in the toaster. There are two slots for this particular toaster. Some have four, some are different. But this is a standard two-hole toaster. Two-hole toaster? Is that a thing? You don't want to put them in horizontally like this. You don't want to put them in on their side because then it will be more difficult to acquire the Pop-Tarts from the toaster. So you want to put them in this. You want to put them in tall ways, vertically. It says put it on the lowest setting, but then you won't get any heat from the Pop-Tarts. So we're going to turn it up a little bit. And you can make your Pop-Tarts as hot as you want. See all these little dots? Although you never want to go here because if you're going to do that, then you might as well eat chocolate. And then you have to wait a couple minutes. Once you wait those couple minutes, we'll be ready to have some Pop-Tarts. After that, you grab a plate, lift this button on the toaster up a little bit, so that way, you notice, if you lift that up a little bit, you have an easier chance to grab a Pop-Tart. So, lay them here, let them be plated like that. Wow. What a gorgeous looking breakfast. Follow the Greg Cherry Show for more recipes like this. And we'll see you next time on Cooking with Greg. Oh, it's hot.
And that was Cooking with Greg. That took me 3 hours to film. All right. Now, I would like to bring to your attention the Monday Q&A. This is where you send me questions about anything you want to send me. It can be about wrestling. It can be, like I say, it can be wrestling, football, news. No cooking tips because I reserve that for a very particular segment. I have to be in a very I have to be in a very particular mindset for that, and hopefully, next time I do a cooking with Greg segment, I can provide you a little bit more wisdom as to what I'm looking forward to next. So let me know what questions you want, and I will have them pop up on the screen here as you ask them. And again, they can be about anything. I know I have some questions from previous that uh, I can put on the show. Let me see here. Mike Gonzalez, going back to the Retribution stuff for WWE, didn't Retribution attack Strowman and Wyatt on SmackDown? Well, they attacked Strowman. The Fiend showed up and then disappeared so that Retribution could attack Braun, but it was not for everybody. I feel, and then the entire rest of the SmackDown roster came out and attacked Retribution and sent them packing, and then uh, Braun started beating up some of the SmackDown roster. So it was a very odd segment. That was like, oh hey, we just saved you, and then you're beating us up anyway. So just to establish Braun as a heel, I think. Mike Gonzalez with this question also. Utah was flirting with leaving the Big Ten to join the Big 12 this season. Do you think the Big Ten should kick them out? Um, I don't think that kick, if they want to play football this particular season, I don't think the conference alignments are going to stay rigid like they have been in previous years, especially since everything else is going on. I think that other teams are trying to join conferences, so it's like, hey, we can play football this fall and keep our TV deals or whatever. And I mean, Notre Dame still has their TV deal for, even though they're a part of the ACC, they still have that NBC deal going for them for their home games. So that'll be still interesting to watch. As far as the other um, conferences, it's a very weird year as far as college football goes. And I hope that we return to some semblance of normalcy next year. Like I said, it'll be after the election, so I think we'll we'll return to some form of, hey, this has calmed down. We can return to our normal lives. As like I said, with wrestling, really with any event that has fans attending, and this is killing the economy. It's killing every single entertainment side of business because they can't have people there live enjoying their stuff, which is funny considering 42nd Street Matthews' question is, what do you think about AEW having fans returning starting Thursday on Dynamite at 10% capacity? Now, for me, I like the idea of having fans attending there. They did a test run either last week or a couple weeks ago that they were able to have some fans in attendance just to see how it goes. And as long as they adhere to the guidance of social distancing and wearing a mask, whatever the case may be, I think it'll be okay. They'll probably have to get tested coming in. They'll and go through all that to make sure that they're not sick. Again, I think I want fans back as soon as possible, and you have to do it slowly. I think the Thunderdome is a great idea just to give that illusion, if nothing else, of fans being in attendance. Just as long as people don't abuse that privilege, which a couple already have, but that's another story. Um, but yeah, I like the idea of them doing that, and hopefully everybody stays safe, and hopefully everybody enjoys Dynamite. That's what I'm hoping. Next question. Ironclaw 30 says, "Hey Greg, what SummerSlam event is your all-time favorite?" Um, I would have to say that um, I would be biased and say 95 because I was there, but Jeff and I literally did the Wrestling Rewind edition of that this past Wednesday. and it was a train wreck as far as the show goes. Um, other than other than Shawn Michaels and Razor in the ladder match, it was not anything to write home about. SummerSlam 2002, I believe, is the greatest one of all time. It had the return to Shawn Michaels. It had Brock and Rock. It had Angle Mysterio. It had Benoit Van Dam. So many great matches. Such a great card. Um, very enjoyable show from top to bottom. Ratnick with a question here says, other than wrestling or sports related stuff, do you have any other hobbies or activities you're into? Um, so I don't think poker counts as a sport, but I'm very into card games. Um, love playing games of any kind, really. I actually had a video game segment planned for today, and unfortunately, the audio didn't capture the way I wanted it to, so we'll have to put that off to a different day. But hopefully, I'll have a gamer corner segment coming up on a future episode of the Greg Cherry Show. Um, as far as other stuff, um, I like game shows. I really enjoy like watching TV game shows. And it's like, oh, is that really a hobby? It's like, well, it could be, because I mean, I created my own. I talk about it all the time. Luck of the draw, which I still have to work on and edit and put up on this channel on the. Depending on where you're watching, it's supposed to go on the Greg Cherry Brand YouTube channel, which all the links are in the description for you to find wherever I'm at. And I'll go over that at the end of the show also. But um, other than that, hobbies, I'm very niche. I like wrestling, I like sports, I like video games, and I like game shows. I'm very entertainment based. I like watching comedians. It's as far as like crafty stuff, that's more my wife's alley. She is the more crafty person um, as far as our relationship is concerned. So I've never really had an interest in that. If you want to talk about a hobby, I like to grill. Is that a hobby? Because I mean, I'm making dinner. Like I've really gotten into grilling the last couple of years. It just feels good, the ability to like make some meat, like put some chicken or some steak on the grill, and man, it's been so good. Does that count as a hobby? Because I think it should count as a hobby because it's something fun that I like to do, and it produces great stuff. So there you go. Iron Claw 30 with this question: have you heard about the Exorcist remake? Any thoughts? This is one form of entertainment that I don't get into, and that's movies. I've never, and people always look at me very strangely that um, that I'm not a movie person, and it's like, oh, you don't like these kind of movies? It's like, no, I just don't like movies. It's a lot of time to invest in like a particular thing, which is hilarious to me. Like the irony is not lost on me. It's like, hey, you watch like 6 hour WrestleManias, but you can't invest into a 2 hour movie, and for some reason, it's just different for me, and I don't know why, but it's just different. I've never been a movie person, so I haven't seen The Exorcist. I probably won't watch the remake. Um, but I don't know why you would need to remake The Exorcist. Why, why do you have to? Why do people have to bring back properties from years ago just to make another buck on them? Especially if there's a potential of making them terrible. It's like, why not just like re-release it in theaters for like an anniversary thing so you get that money off the old property or whatever? It doesn't make any sense to me. Ratnick says he's gotten back into retro gaming, specifically Sega Genesis. Actually, I had a Super Nintendo game that I planned on playing for Greg's Gaming Corner, but unfortunately that did not happen. I'll try and mess with the audio a little bit more. It was probably my setup. I don't know. I don't know why the stuff was so loud, but it is what it is. Curtis Butler says 5 card stud or blackjack. First of all, I'd prefer 7 card stud because 5 card stud doesn't give you a whole lot of opportunity. I've played 7 card stud. It's fun. Won some hands doing it, but you really need to play 5 card stud is one of those, or stud in general is one of those card games, kind of like Omaha, where it's like you almost have to play the entire way till the end because your hands can change so often. Um, I do like stud. I do like stud, and I've played it. Last time I played was like a month or so ago. Um, Playing poker at my buddy's house, and we implement wild cards. It's like, hey, here's stud. This card and this card are legal, or wild rather, not legal. Um, and it's a good time because throwing in wild cards and like fun card games like that, it just changes up how you play, and we go from there. All right. Brad Bokema says, "Who cuts your hair?" Actually, my wife does. I haven't had a haircut in a bit. Was actually supposed to have it done prior to this show going live, but didn't have the time to do it. My hair just grows out weird. I seriously have the weirdest head of hair ever. Like, if my wife doesn't want me to shave my head completely bald because she thinks I look terrible with it. Um, if I could, I would. I like to be as low maintenance as I possibly can. Um, but my hair grows out of control, and it always has. So typically, my wife cuts my hair, but she says she hates cutting my hair. So there you go. Ironclaw 30. Do you play in board games? I love playing board games. I'm probably one of the few people in the world that actually enjoys playing Monopoly. Um, but it's fun for me. I really enjoy it. My wife Jen hates playing Monopoly with me because she says I play too. I don't think she says I'm evil. She might have said I'm evil playing that game because I'm ruthless and it's how I was raised. My family grew up on board games, so we always played to win. It's like our fun was playing to win. Like we always tried to win, and it goes for my brother, my sister, and both my parents. That's just how we were, and that's fun for us. So that spurred quite the competitive nature in yours truly. I did miss this question from Kenny. Uh, Greg, without Retribution getting involved in the main event of SummerSlam, do you think WWE have no idea who the members would be? Well, they've changed who's dressed up like the members. The fact that there's so many of them, I don't know if they have a plan or if it's just a bunch of people and they'd be like, oh, well, we're going to introduce like 4 members of Retribution and unmask them, blah, 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 blah. It's like, guys, you had like 16 on the show. Like, what are you doing? They don't, I don't think they have any idea where they're going with this, which is not surprising considering they dropped the hacker gimmick. Um, so it would not surprise me whatsoever. Um, Mr. Meacham, did we play Monopoly when I was back there in 2013? I don't think the house was survived with both of us. I don't know if we did or not. I don't feel like we did. We were mostly wrestling focused because it was the weekend of the Royal Rumble that year. Um, I don't think we did, but I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind next time we meet up, like bringing a board game of Monopoly and playing that alongside you. Even if you're competitive, Jeff, we faced each other in Wrestling Trivia Challenge countless times. We'd be fine playing Monopoly together. I would just win. Uh, that's my competitive spirit. Um, Cody Fosterling says, "Who does Keith Lee first feud with on Raw?" Um, well, they made the announcement, like I said earlier, that uh, Keith Lee would be debuting on Raw, and they showed that during SummerSlam. it's very interesting to me that I think a lot of us expected that when he lost the title to Karrion Cross, but I feel like he's going to feud with somebody in the mid card, somebody like a Dolph Ziggler or somebody to just because when somebody debuts on Raw or SmackDown from NXT, you have to give them like a mid card feud to quote unquote see if they get over. Um, and it worries me, especially considering the history of NXT champions coming up to the main roster after losing the title. Let, let me put it this way: they're not going to put Keith Lee in a feud with Drew McIntyre. They're just not going to do it. I'm hoping that they lead to a Keith Lee Brock Lesnar feud, considering their Royal Rumble appearance together. But I'm not going to hold my breath. Just not going to do it. But I hope they don't screw that up. Jeff says, "Yeah, but Monopoly would cause severe property destruction." Is all I'm saying. Well, if you play angrily, then yeah, but you can't play frustrated when you land on somebody's property and you owe them $1,000 in rent money. Of course, we play a different way. That it was something I was introduced to because I played Xbox Monopoly on the Xbox, um, and it was very interesting to me that they had a rule where if you landed or if you rolled snake eyes, you got $1,000 from the bank. I thought that was a cool way to play because it gives you like a little bit of a bankroll boost that could help you down the line, or it could help you pay some of these rent properties. Um, so I thought it was I like that feature, and I like to play that way. Um, Anthony says, thoughts on Renee Young wanting her release, and will she go to AEW with her husband? I mean, that there's speculation of that she'll go to AEW just to be with her husband, John Moxley. That would make sense to me, but I feel like she wants to get into more actual like sports reporting. I don't think there's any need for her to go to AEW. Um, would she be a big help for AEW and their production? Absolutely. I'm sure she could join the commentary team. Um, or something of that matter. They would find a good use for Renee. Uh, but I feel like she wants to stick to like, I don't know, like ESPN, Fox Sports type stuff. Um, and she might be continuing to do WWE backstage. We will see. Um, but it remains to be seen. Hopefully, we get to see her more. Um, Ironclaw 30 says, Greg, do you think HBK's legacy has been tarnished from him wrestling in that tag match with Triple H against Kane and Taker a couple years ago? I don't think it's tarnished. Um, I would like to see Sean come back for one more match just to be like, okay, that match at Crown Jewel is not going to be their last match. You need Sean to face somebody like an Adam Cole or an AJ Styles or something like that because you want that like because the thing about that match was Sean could still go. I don't know what happened with the other three, but Sean could still go. So I would like to see him one more time in the ring against somebody who can still go. And it's not a knock to Taker, it's not a knock to Hunter, it's not a knock to Kane, but the four of them just did not gel that match. They just didn't. For whatever reason, it was a train wreck. It shouldn't have been, considering the talent of those four guys, but it was. It was what it was. So I would like, if Sean ever did come back for like a WrestleMania match or something like that, I would want to see him wrestle somebody again, like an AJ, like an Adam Cole, like a Seth Rollins, somebody who he hasn't faced before. That's what I would like to see. Let me see here. Jeff does say here that if you guys are not already following the voice of the WTC rules on social media, highly recommend the um, highly recommend Sarah Priebus, particularly this morning. Sarah Priebus is fun to talk to on social media. Um, I haven't messaged her in like a week, um, but she does have a podcast as well, the Living the Damn Dream podcast with a fellow wrestling fan, Mike Janela, who I would like to have on the show at some point. Hopefully, we can make that happen. But and Curtis Butler says Sean's 55. Let it go. It's. I'm not saying it's going to happen, Curtis. It's something that I would like to see, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's one of those in a perfect world scenarios. All right. So, that being said, we're coming to the close of the Greg Cherry Show for this Monday. The Greg Cherry Show will air every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on the Greg Cherry brand. This is just the initial show to get the word out there, essentially. And I hope everybody who's watched it has enjoyed it. I look forward to bringing you guys more content on a more regular basis than I have been. So go follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all those places. Greg Cherry brand for all of that. And of course, teespring.com/store/Greg Cherry brand. I will have the logo of this show up, hopefully for coffee mugs and shirts and everything like that. I plan on getting that up as soon as the show ends. And like I said, follow me, especially on the YouTube channel, Greg Cherry's brand YouTube channel. Go there. It's youtube.com/Greg Cherry brand. The link is in the description. If you're watching somewhere that's not Twitter, because I think Twitter is they don't have links like that. But yeah, go follow me all those places, and I hope you enjoyed the first edition of the Greg Cherry Show. Sticking to an hour. I think any longer than that would just drag on. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys check out the next episode on Wednesday, and we will be back on Wednesday on the Greg Cherry brand YouTube for more of the Greg Cherry Show. Until next time, take it easy.